Getting ready to go live.
All right. Well, it is Project Game Day, and Project Game Day is made possible by 1-800-GAMBLER, which provides no-cost treatment, and it's now available for anyone wanting help with a gambling problem. The Ravens begin the season with a loss in Kansas City, 27-20. I'm Glenn. KZ, Andrew Stecca are already here. Unfortunately, we're going to be a little short-handed tonight. Rita is apparently under the weather, and I don't think it's just because of Isaiah Likely's toe. I think it's like actually she's not feeling good. Femi will join us here in a bit. There's a lot to say about this, obviously, and we'll get into some of the other stuff that does matter and is nitpicky. I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna be hard pressed to get me to be too fired up, too emotional about a game where the Ravens were largely outplayed, but ended up being within a centimeter of having a chance to win at the end. I'll let. I'm sure Ken, you'll try to fire the coach. I'm sure we'll do the whole thing, but it's gonna be really hard for me to join you.
No, I'm not. It was funny going into this game. uh, Win or lose, it wasn't gonna. I don't know. There wasn't gonna be a lot of emotion for me around it. Um, just because how last season, how I expect this team to be a perennial playoff team, and how what we're gonna say about this team in the end is going to be what they do in the playoffs. The offensive line struggled in the preseason. It struggled tonight. It got better as the some adjustments were made. They gave some help and things like that.
And Chris
Um,
Jones got tired.
well, hey, I mean, that's part of it.
Yep.
That's part of it. But they have early on, Kansas City just looked like they were so much quicker than the Ravens offensively and defensively. And they fixed some things. They made some adjustments. They came within a whisker of, you know, tying, winning, however they were going to. I don't know what they were going to do there, whether they were going to go for the win or they were going to play for overtime, but um, probably go for the win. I would
Oh,
expect.
they no. John Harbaugh was putting up the two. They were going. Yeah, they
Yeah,
were going for two. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't see that on the on what I was watching, but um, it's they played well. Lamar was fantastic. You gotta love what you saw out of Likely. I mean, scare at the end comes back in
Hmm.
right away. So I liked a lot of things that I saw. I think you can see what the plan's going to be. Third and short, fourth and short should be a cheat code all year for this team with Henry in the backfield.
We'll go to.
Um,
Let me pause you there. I'm gonna let
yeah,
Stecca get a thought in, because then Femi just jumped in. Stecca, big takeaway for you.
I kind of echo a lot of what KZ said. I mean, it's no overreaction to have. This was a hell of a game, obviously, and it was really well played in certain aspects. Obviously, there's a lot of disciplinary stuff that I want to gripe at, but it's the first game. You can't jump down anyone's throats. It was you're going in there into a hostile environment in on the Thursday night opener. You know it's going to be hard. Um, I really thought that the Chiefs were, frankly, the Chiefs are fortunate as hell to get away with that win. And I wouldn't have said that maybe 35, 40 minutes ago watching this game, but the Ravens did a hell of a job to make it what they made it at the end. And a lot of that obviously goes down to the MVP and the way that he played.
No doubt, no doubt. I'm with you on all of it. Real quick, you can place bets on site at the Green Turtle Sportsbook in Towson and Canton while watching all of the games on their massive screens. And don't forget that every Thursday you get a $10 free play just for stopping by. Let's go to our Super Bowl champion, Femi Ayanbadejo. Femi, first initial takeaways, obviously outside of just, damn, that would have been cool if Isaiah Likely had been able to get his toe down.
Yeah, I think the Ravens have a very high ceiling. We see that, and with all those young guys out there, and with the turnover and Vanoy getting hurt, and you know, I agree. The Chiefs got a lot of the Ravens made a lot of mistakes, but they played so hard, and they're so talented that I'm not really mad. I just wish that Matabike it would have been 3rd and 20. They end up getting a touchdown off that hit to Pat Mahomes' head. Williams on the sideline, they end up scoring after the late hit. Oh no, actually they did end up scoring, right? I'm trying to remember the sequence of everything, but my point is that there were this.
No, they didn't. Not on that one. Not on the Williams one. The Williams one, okay. They ended up punting.
Yeah, but there was just I just feel like there was a couple times where plays were extended and opportunities were extended, not because the Chiefs earned it, but because of some, just aggressive but not smart play necessarily. But man, I'm not mad. I love that they left it on the field. They played with a lot of heart. I think that Stecca said it right. Like, the disciplinary stuff needs to be cleaned up. I think not playing a game for a long time, as a team and not being out there, sometimes you just gotta put a cap on it. You got to recognize that you don't need to do that. It's not necessary. But man, Lamar, my goodness, Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews doesn't look 100 yet, but I'm sure he'll get back. Zay was out there doing his thing. I would have loved to see Derek featured a little bit more, but I think that the nature of the game and the way the scoring went probably led to maybe a little less usage because the Ravens were behind 2010 at one point, but what a great game to watch. I was really entertained and I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I do think this offensive line is going to have to grow up quick, but I think we all knew that. And all things considered, I think they kind of found their footing as the game went on. They kind of found a rhythm and a flow. What an up and down and an emotional game for an opening Thursday night. Proud of the guys, proud of the way they played. But yeah, I think from a disciplinary and just restraint standpoint, there's some things that I think they're going to want back later. But like I said, very, very high ceiling. I said this last year, if you guys don't remember, when the AFC Championship game ended, I said, we're going to see this AFC Championship game again. I said, it's going to be in Baltimore. With this loss, I don't know if that's still – we got 16 games left, right? I'm not going to make any proclamation right now.
Sure, right.
But my point is that I felt like these two teams are the two best teams in the NFL, obviously the two best teams in the AFC, and we're going to see this again in the playoffs.
All right. Reeta promised me a brief cameo. She is under the weather tonight, but she is in Kansas City and said she would hop on for a minute. Reeta, what happened? Are you all right?
Yeah. Soon as I got here in Kansas City, I just got really dehydrated and I cannot rehydrate for nothing. It's very weird. So I just was by fourth quarter, I was I'm gonna go just lay down for a little bit. And of course, I missed all the action. I didn't miss it because I watched it on my phone, but I missed it in real time.
Stadium,
in the stadium. So, I just didn't like the way I felt, and I just was let me just go, make sure I'm good.
So where are your emotions after this? Because I feel like we're all kind of in a similar place.
Yeah, I think Femi kind of put the nail on that head here. I think so. The Chiefs played in preseason, their starters, and the Ravens didn't. And I think that, there's some, when you have a situation like that where, this is really the first time that these guys are playing real football for 60 minutes against somebody else that's not the guys that they practice with, you're going to get hiccups like what we saw, tonight. There's a few guys that didn't play well, but there's some guys that did play well. Yes, Marlon didn't play well, and they kind of went after Kyle and Roquan, which was very interesting game plan. But then you got to see guys like Trenton Simpson, step their game up and play well, and I was impressed by that. I'm obviously disappointed because I'm a Ravens fan, but they, like Femi said, they made so many mistakes, but yet they only lost by 7. You know what I'm saying? This really could have gotten away from them, and they just did not give up, and they continued to fight. And as a result, it worked like this. And I know, I understand. I don't, believe in, moral losses or anything like that. But I think because it's week 1 and because we know that they haven't played together as a team, as what they did tonight, you feel confident that they can work the kinks out and be, the dominant team that they can be moving forward. So I kind of felt like this was probably going to be a hard game for them just because the offensive line we didn't know what that was going to look like, and then they definitely struggled. But I'm also confident that they'll get it together. The offensive line will find a way to get it together, and they'll be back to being the Ravens of old. But Lamar Jackson, man, and look, I know he messed up that Zay pass, which I know everybody's like, ugh. You just never out of a game, the quarterback. And I think you gotta feel good about that. You know what I'm saying? Any other quarterback outside of maybe a Josh Allen, maybe a Joe Burrow, nobody is really going to keep up with Kansas City the way that Lamar can. And he had a spectacular game. Yes, he missed the Zay touchdown, but aside from that, man, I never feel like the Ravens were out of it because they got 8.
Yeah, I agree with you, Reeta, big time.
So
Totally
a couple of things in there that jump out at me. Reeta, you bring up the offensive line, and to the point that a couple of you guys brought up, if we had done this show 35, 40 minutes ago, I think we would be talking a lot more about the offensive line. And some of what ended up happening, as we joked about, was, Chris Jones got a little tired, as they pointed out there at the final drive of the game. I guess, Femi, walk me through, how comfortable are you with, hey, this was week 1 for a new group. We believe that these guys can play. It was always going to take time. We're not going to be panicked about this, 8, 9 weeks into the season.
No, I think that everybody inside that building knew what the trajectory was, and it was starting on the ground. They're not lifting off yet, but they're going to. I think we saw glimmers of it, and I think I saw a lot more cohesion. There was a lull in the third quarter. There was a lull in the second quarter, but I thought like the opening drive and the way they finished really showed me the potential of what they can do. And I think Reeta made some good points about inconsistency due to a lack of play, right? Just not having experienced live bullets the way that Kansas City probably did a little bit, but no excuses. I mean, I think the Ravens had every opportunity, regardless of the mistakes. I mean, they were a tip of a toe, literally a half of an inch away from going for 2. And I literally was sitting here on my couch, my girlfriend's passing out, and I'm just like, hey, they're about to score and go for 2 and just call it a day, and then just let it be done. That's literally what I was saying to her as they started that final drive. And they had the chance to do it. And it's really hard. Look, I know I'm a pundit and I'm a former player, and it's just too early for me to get too worked up right now, because I'm actually pleasantly surprised by the way they played offensively and the amount of yardage. And I know Lamar had a lot to do with it, and so did Isaiah. But this ceiling is so high, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to get too carried away too early, because Kansas City's a damn good team. They are a solid football team. They've got a good defense and they got a really good offense. And the Ravens basically hadn't played their starting unit since the AFC Championship game. They go into Kansas City and they made a game of it. They really pushed them to the brink. And man, I would have loved to see that 2-point conversion attempt, because now you're just playing with house money at that point. You sneak one and you get in there and you sneak out with a win. I thought it was going to come together at the end right there. But like I said, I didn't see enough Nate Wiggins. I don't know what the rotation was. I need to see what packages he was in. And maybe he was out there more than I realized, but maybe I don't know what it was. I just didn't. Did you guys? I didn't notice a ton.
Yeah,
of
it's
him.
a fair.
I didn't see him. I didn't see him.
And maybe based on where they are, that maybe they're just going to bring him along slowly. But he looked so good in the preseason, and I'm not saying that would have made a difference, but just curious about him and his trajectory and where he's going to go. I thought Trenton Simpson, and somebody gave Trenton Simpson some love already. A couple tip balls. I mean, almost that interception.
Yeah.
I think that the raw talent is there. The speed and reaction is there. I think just understanding the mechanics and the logistics of playing NFL football and where he's supposed to be and when, he's going to figure all that out. I do think he has a higher ceiling than
Queen.
Than Patrick Queen, than PQ. I think he has a higher ceiling, but I think his ceiling is higher. I'm not saying he's a better player right now. I just think that from a size, speed, reaction, ability, agility, and that doesn't mean you're going to be a great football player, because I don't think Roquan is bigger, faster, stronger than any of the dudes I just mentioned. I don't think that Roquan is not necessarily a guy that's going to blow you away with his gym workout. Roquan is just a football player, a hard nose, make it happen, read, react, communicate, a leader. And I think Trenton Simpson, from a physical tools perspective, has all the tools that you want. I can't wait to see his growth trajectory and where he ends up.
Hey, make your trip to the game easy by saving the Easy Pass way for tolls. Go to driveeasymd.com. That's driveeasymd.com. Griffin, if you can find it, I think it was Bill Barnwell who shared out the dots on the tipped play, the one that Patrick Mahomes caught. And when you see it, you see that he's going to Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce has beat Roquan Smith, and the game is over in that moment. Like, it's over right then if Trenton Simpson doesn't get his hand on that ball. It is an exceptional, in the moment, game-saving play. I worry that we're all, the one thing that we're doing, and because I think we all feel about the same way, but I do worry a little bit, and you put it out earlier, like this could end up being the difference in where the AFC Championship game is played. This could be the difference. The AFC North is still going to be disastrously difficult. Like, it's easy for us all to say, hey, it's not the end of the world, they lost this game. Should there have been more? Reeta brings up the idea that, like, hey, they aren't playing in the preseason. I am not going to change my opinion about it. There's too much risk to it. But is there an argument that you've got to be more ramped up for week one?
Already stirring the pot.
It's easy.
It. Yeah.
I gotta have a different conversation. Yeah. Aside, Ken doesn't even want to fire the coach tonight.
Well,
Femi, what am I supposed to do?
I mean, that's an easy conversation to have, and say should they, but you just go on the other hand. If Lamar gets banged up because their offensive line isn't together in a meaningless game, our season's over. So no, I don't want to see. I didn't want to see Lamar until today with this offensive line. I was scared. I was scared when they said they were taking live shots with Green Bay. So
yeah, there's for those that haven't seen it, there's the dots. Like, that's Travis Kelce right there behind Roquan Smith with a step. Yeah. That's a first down. That's game over. You never see the football again.
Yeah, I think I know that you're trying to create a little debate here, Glenn.
I'm trying to do it, Femi, dude. Yeah, I'm trying to do. So what?
No, it's okay. No, but you can do that. I'm just gonna tell you to stop, bro. Like, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Listen. We have 16 games left, and a lot of stuff is gonna happen.
Yeah,
you literally said, "Oh, there's 16 games left," and then now you're talking about, "Oh, well, this could be the game that decides home field advantage. That can decide a playoff."
I'll play devil's advocate. It could be.
No.
In those scenarios.
But guess what? We won't know for another 16.
100%.
Let me
throw something else out that I do think is relevant. The having to take 2 timeouts. That's what I was just going to bring up. I wanted to throw that red meat. Yes, that's bad. That's really bad. And again, you can say that you had enough time at the end of the game, although in another scenario, you have at least time for one more play there. That was only a third down play, the play to Isaiah Likely. And you certainly would have the option to have Lamar run maybe in those situations as well. Who is that on? Because it's so easy for everybody to just say, oh, this always happens with this coaching staff. But how does that happen?
Was it Ardarius who they had 10 guys on the field, so one of the DBs wasn't out there? Was it Ardarius? Is that?
I think one time it was. I think you're right.
Yeah, so that's one that was one timeout. I don't remember when the other one was used. I know it was in the third quarter. I don't remember what
I was about to say it was fairly early in the third
quarter. Yeah, I don't remember what it was. I mean, honestly, they internally know whose fault it was. Obviously, if there's 10 guys on the field and you're supposed to be number 11, that's clearly on you, right? So that's going to be easy to point out. I think what I'm getting at, Glenn, is that and I think this is what we're all talking about from 30,000 feet. You remember how many times I lost my mind last year? Mm-hmm. Remember, like earlier in the season, midway point, there were certain things I was like, WTF are we doing? Like, what's going on? And, we were the number 1 seed at times. And I just feel like it's too early for me. I'm challenging myself to be.
So what
more
was
patient.
Sorry? Griffin's showing us the time marker. It was 6:29 in the third quarter. That was the second timeout.
Okay, yeah, the first one was earlier, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the first one was early. Yeah,
the first one was literally 90 seconds into that.
There it is.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think there's going to be a lot of things to be critiqued and cleaned up for sure. Like, there's no doubt this was not a clean game. Let me be very clear about this. It was not a clean game. But what it was a hard fought, emotional, balls to the wall, guys sold out. Did they do some dumb things? Absolutely. But can you fix those things? Absolutely. Are you excited about where they're going to go? I am absolutely excited. Do I think they're going to win 13 games again? No, I do not. This schedule is way too tough. I've been saying they're going to win 11 games. I think 11 games they can still win the AFC North. It's going to be much tougher with a healthy Joe Burrow. And to your point, Glenn, I'll go down that rabbit hole of devil's advocate with you. I won't even play devil's advocate. I'm just going to keep it real. The truth of the matter is that the Ravens just need to make the playoffs. Now, is that going to be good enough for everybody that's in Ravens Nation? Probably not. But I'll tell you right now, in a locker room, the goal is to make the playoff. Well, the first goal is always to win the division, right?
Sure.
But if you can't win the division, the next goal is always get into the dance, like make the playoffs and then make noise and see what can happen once you make it in, right? So I have no doubt that the Ravens are in the upper echelon class of the NFL, top of the AFC with the Chiefs. And I'm disappointed in how it turned out, but I'm still extremely excited and optimistic about the potential and the ceiling for this team. So I don't want to get too carried away tonight.
No, I completely get it. The Mars Maryland 5-star is the place to be in October. Visit maryland5star.us. That's the number 5, maryland5star.us for more info and tickets. I want us to talk about Rashad Bateman for a minute because a lot of people pointed out that the overthrow on the left sideline early in the drive, like his body language didn't look good. And then to turn around and make that catch and everything that dude has been through and the way that people pile on that cat. And I think, Femi, you share the opinion that Reeta and I share. I think we've talked about it openly that Rashad Bateman to me has always still been a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. This is not Rashad Perriman not being capable of catching the football. This is a guy who regularly gets open and the ball just doesn't get his way. And I appreciate that reminder at the end of the game that this dude is still capable of making big plays and I think is still capable of being some level of a difference maker for this football team.
Yeah, no, I definitely think he's part of the solution, not the problem. And you know what? I think first of all, because I'm a former player, I'm not quick to judge anybody based on body language. They can be mad at themselves. Who knows what they're mad at? And none of us are mind readers, especially not fans. I know a lot of us think we can read minds based on body language, but I don't even play that game. So I don't really care about that. He might just have been disappointed in himself. Who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that Lamar tried to fit that ball down the sideline, but I mean, it wasn't like he was wide open.
It wasn't there. It
wasn't
there.
I think Lamar was just trying to put it in a place where maybe he had a chance at it, but definitely wasn't going to get intercepted, right? You know what I mean? So I think Rashad is gonna make plays like that throughout the season. And I think with him and Zay and Isaiah, and once again, I made this point earlier, Mark is not healthy. Like let's be real, he's not. And he caught that pass, and normally he would have turned up field, got the first down easy. I mean, he basically tripped over his own feet because he's not in shape. He's not in football fitness shape. He had the car accident. He had the broken leg. I mean, he's been through a lot. The fact that he's out there, I'm happy about because I think once again he'll get healthier. But Isaiah has risen to the occasion. Isaiah is looking like the Pro Bowler right now, and if he keeps doing what he's doing right now and the way he finished the season, he's playing at a Pro Bowl caliber level. He was the best tight end on the field tonight. Out of all the tight ends on the field tonight. That's a crazy thing to say.
Including Travis Kelce. That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying.
But we know this. Like we all sat here and said all season last season, this guy is a superstar. To me, it was never a fluke.
He's a playmaker. He's a playmaker for sure.
100%. And I think it was always a question of, are the Ravens going to be hell-bent in getting both of them on the field? And will Lamar Jackson... Look, I'm not saying this is a criticism. I think I'm speaking it factually. Lamar Jackson has always felt Mark Andrews as a bit of a safety blank. I think every quarterback has that. Like, I trust that guy is going to catch the ball, so I want that ball to go to him because I trust that he's going to catch it. I don't think that's a criticism. I think that's sometimes just smart quarterback play. But I think that was one of the questions that we had. Will the balls continue to go Isaiah Likely's way, even when Mark Andrews is on the field? Well, at this point...
Yeah, you have your answer.
Right? The relationship is proven. The ball is going to go Isaiah Likely's way because he trusts the hell out of Isaiah Likely, as he should. A shame that he missed the one in the end zone, and that was there as well. That's a play that he's got a ton of pressure on him, and he's just trying to get the ball out to give him a shot. And clearly the clock is running, but he was open there in the end zone for a bit. A couple other things that were on my list. So, Andrew, you brought up earlier Kansas City, and that maybe they were fortunate. The other takeaway I have from this is look how good Rashee Rice looks. Look how good Xavier Worthy looks. Is there a danger about how good the Chiefs could still be by the time we get to January, that they're better than the team we saw a year ago, that if this is what we're seeing now from them, they could be even scarier at that point?
Well, I think the same could be said about any team that's playing in week 1. I mean, you're talking about guys who are only going to get better as they gel. And especially when you're talking about that rookie looks incredible. I mean, he's obviously fast as hell, and, all the pieces have to come together, but there's no question that, the Chiefs are a good team. I mean, they've won 2 straight Super Bowls, and they keep, if they're going to keep adding pieces, and, Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, and they all look the part. I mean, that's certainly going to be a big factor in all of this. I think the reason I said that they were fortunate in some ways is, and I'm not one to complain about officiating, but there was certainly a lot of, the illegal formation stuff was kind of silly
about it
at some point.
Hey,
and I mean, there was some holding stuff, and I saw a Roquan quote about, the quote unquote late hit. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes both ways here. So I'm not here to say anything that, definitive that this was some conspiracy, but like, there were a few
saying
calls
that there was some home. You saying there was some home cooking, basically.
I think there was a little bit of home cooking in this match.
I don't think so. There wasn't home cooking, but there were some bad calls. Let's just leave it at that. No conspiracy theories.
That's kind of where
the Tyler Linderbaum hold on Lamar's 29-yard run was some BS, dude. That was straight up nonsense. Lamar was past him.
Yep.
Tyler had his hand inside. That call was horrendous.
Well, and how about Steve Spagnuolo being allowed to call a timeout?
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the refs are in week 1 too. You know what I mean? So, and you guys know me, like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Like, the whole Taylor, like, if I hear anyone talk about Taylor Swift in the NFL being, colluding again,
you can just stop at Taylor Swift. I'm just good with talking about Taylor Swift. We can just stop with that in general.
No, I'm just saying that. Like,
I mean, the boots did look really good, though. Let's be honest.
This guy. Hey,
you guys would be shocked what I hear on the street, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, when people come up to me in Whole Foods, or when I'm walking at the gym, or I'm at yoga. You know what I'm saying?
And that's just when Ken Zala stops by to say hello, and he's just letting you know all of the things that he believes. Again, you can place bets on site at the Green Turtle Sportsbook in Towson and Canton while watching all of the games on their massive screens. Don't forget that every Thursday you get $10 free play just for stopping by. Femi, you brought up earlier getting away from Derrick Henry, and I do tend to agree. I don't know what to do about it. Just because we're talking about it for a second, it is fascinating to me because obviously Steve Spagnuolo should not be allowed to call a timeout, but I also don't know what you do at that point. Like, I don't know what the recourse is. Like, should the NFL make it a penalty for a
yes,
yes, they should. Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely they should.
As a delay a game. Sorry to make the answer so easy to your question, but yes, that's a delay of game penalty.
You're right, but I don't know if they can do that before the season's over. Like, I don't think they can
can't.
Yeah.
No, but next year that needs to be on the competition committee.
No, but
it's
a matter of enforcing the rule.
I'm just shocked that it's not already a rule. Like, what are we doing?
That's what I think. I think it is, and I think it wasn't called.
Is it?
Oh, is that right? Oh, really?
That according to the broadcast, I mean, that's what it seems like.
Only the head coach can call it.
Well, we know that part's true.
We know that.
Yeah, I don't know. I did not know that it's supposed to be a delay of game.
I don't know that for sure, but the way the broadcast made it sound was you're not allowed to do that. So he wasn't sure why they did. Like, Terry McAuliffe came on and was like, I don't know why that was allowed to happen.
Right. That part I get. Like, the part where we're confused about being allowed to happen, we're all on board with. I'm trying to figure out if there actually is a rule on the books, or if it's just one of those things that no one's ever thought about because it was like, hey, the assistant coach, the coordinators know they're not allowed to call a timeout, so we don't have to have a rule in place. Or
they just got away with it.
Right. Or the officials know they're not supposed to recognize an assistant coach calling timeout.
But and also, if you're putting an official in a position where he's looking at the field and he's got somebody,
right? He sees a guy in a red shirt running at him, trying to call timeout. I can understand why you'd want to call a timeout. So to the point, yes, I agree that if there is no rule in place, then absolutely, at the end of the year, you should go back and write that rule in and say, hey, we shouldn't have to ever deal with this again. We shouldn't have had to have dealt with it the first time. It's just what it is. Getting away from Derrick Henry, because I agree, Femi, that it seemed like they did get away from Derrick Henry. To your point, yes, that at one point it became a 2-possession game in the second half. And this isn't like AFC Championship game getting away from the run where they just seem to abandon it altogether. I just think that we were all very excited about the idea of them coming out and playing bully ball and showing what this Derrick Henry experiment could look like. And for one possession, we got to see it, and it looked exactly as cool as we thought it was going to look, and exactly as indefensible. And I think we also saw it with the decision to go for it on fourth down. Were you guys good with going for it on fourth down, by the way?
Early in the game, I wasn't. Yeah,
No.
I wasn't. I didn't like it either.
I hated it.
I didn't like. Yeah,
I
and
thought about
even
KZ.
yeah, and even Coach Harbaugh's the way he kind of it was almost impulsive. You know what I mean? Like, and then the play call too. You know?
Yeah, I didn't like. I didn't like the call.
I kind of felt. This is the thing. Because I'm a natural calculated gambler. Sometimes you just got to save yourself from yourself. You know, like I felt like we know that the Ravens, our psyche is bully ball, as you've noted. We pound and we grind and we just keep ourselves in the fight. And I just kind of felt like at that time, in that situation, it seemed like we were playing KC's game by doing that and not playing our game, because it wasn't getting away from us by any means. Like there really wasn't a reason to go for it. To be honest, in the moment, I was like, hell yeah. And then the minute that pass was incomplete and Zay, couldn't get by the defender, I was like, oh, that wasn't a really good decision. That was not a good decision. You know what I mean? But but at that time, I think it's too early to be doing that, in my opinion.
What about the one that worked in the fourth quarter, but ultimately still didn't lead to a touchdown? The one where they went to Derrick Henry on the ground on fourth and short.
I think they had to on that time, based on where we were in the game. They had to. I think they were still down 2 scores at that point. You know what I mean? Instead of kicking the field, remember they could have kicked the field goal, but instead they went for it. Yeah,
they could.
I thought it was the right call. I mean, that's the whole reason to bring Derrick Henry here.
And I agree. That's the part that I agree with. You have Derrick Henry, so go do it. And I was okay with it. The argument, of course, would be that if you just kick the field goal and everything else, let's do butterfly effect, right? Like everything else stays the same way, then you would have saved 2 minutes by kicking the field goal at that point, and you would have had more time.
That's not how things work, though. We know that. Like there's no way to replicate anything. Like it changes the whole future when you kick the field goal. It's like the whole scenario is totally different.
I agree. I was fine with it in the moment.
But Glenn, even with all that being said, they had a chance right there to tie the game or win the game.
Yes,
so like
correct.
everything still ended up exactly where you wanted it.
And my thought in that moment is that you're still doing the math of they might still score more points. Like that's part of the equation to me in that moment, that much left in the game. I'm still concerned that they might still go back down. If you kick a field goal with, what would that have been, 6.5 minutes left, I think, at that point, that there's still time for them to go back and get 3 of their own, and the game's over at that point.
I felt like the game was. I thought the clock was even less time left. I don't think it was 6 minutes. Was it? Can we confirm that? I thought it was less time.
I think Glenn's right, because when they went for it, they still, once they got the first down, they still had like 5:40, if I remember.
Oh, okay,
properly.
Right. Okay,
I'm trying to pull it up.
I going back to the first one, we kind of.
By the way, I actually almost nailed it. 6:34.
Okay,
was the time on the clock.
A lot more time than I thought, but still good with the ball.
Yeah,
because I think to your point, Glenn, they could have got the ball and scored, right? Sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead, Casey.
No, you're good. You're good. The first one, what made it even like it's so early in the game for Femi's points. Like I didn't like it, and then I hated it after the play call. It's like you have Derrick Henry.
Was the interception?
No,
Casey, was the interception that next series? Was the interception by Roquan right after that?
I think so.
Yeah, lucky.
I think so.
Got lucky on that one.
Yeah, you got lucky. You got it right back. Because I think I said something to one of the chats I was on. I was like, well, that helps and makes up for it. But it's like going back to the Derrick Henry thing. You have Derrick Henry. It's 4th and 2. Why aren't we at least doing a play action with Derrick Henry in that situation? Like with Lamar and Derrick Henry in 4th or 3rd and short, and I said this coming on, it should be really a cheat code. I mean, they should convert a very high percentage of those because the defense has no idea what they're going to do there.
Yeah, I mean, they were in like a true read option at one point in
Right.
short yardage, and it was like run to perfection. And that kind of thing in short yardage this season, you're right, KZ, is going to be cheat code is the right phrase. It's going to be incredible to watch.
Wasn't that the first touchdown too?
No.
No, what was the first? Why am I?
First
The
touchdown
first touchdown was an inside zone, I believe, like a.
It was inside zone. You're right. You're right. It was.
Yeah.
Yep.
But there was another one on like a 3rd and short, or maybe it was a second.
That might be what I'm thinking of.
And
and
it was like a true like read option type of play.
Yeah,
And that kind of thing in short yardage is going to be gorgeous this season.
Hey, how sleek does Louisville Lamar look though?
So are you, let's just, for the sake of it, you know how I feel. I think I know how you feel. Are you at all concerned about the number of carries for Lamar? Does that?
I think that this game, as much as Lamar kind of downplayed it, like he didn't really talk a ton about revenge. He didn't say that. You could tell by his energy and his focus and the way that he went out there, he really wanted to win this game. I don't expect him to do what he did every week, and he's not going to need to. Kansas City has a really good defense. They're a really good team. We know what happened last year. Kansas City's been a thorn in his side. I think Lamar wanted to go out there and just say, like, hey, they don't have a psychological hold on me. Let me go out here and put up 500 yards of offense. Let me go ahead and throw for 270. Let me go ahead and rush for 130 or whatever he rushed for. And just let me show you guys that. And I know it doesn't matter in the season. Like, we need to see it in the playoffs. Like, that's the thing that is crazy, right? Like, it doesn't matter what happened tonight, but I'm happy he played well. But I just think that Kansas City is a special case, and Lamar handled it like a special case. But you are right, Glenn. What you're alluding to is that can he go out there and do this every Sunday and be functional at the end of the year? Absolutely not. But I don't think that he will. I think tonight's it's the opener. And
well, I think some of it's the line too. The line.
Oh no, for sure. No, it's a lot of stuff. But remember, Kansas City's front seven is not just some average front seven.
Yes, it's Chris Jones, right? Yes,
yeah. You know what I mean. So,
right.
So that's my point. So I think that they handled this. This was a special case tonight, and I think that's the way they played it, in my opinion. But the whole Louisville Lamar thing, he looks sleeker. He looks slimmer. He looks faster. He looks like a little. I saw the glimpses of the Lamar quickness that we hadn't seen lately.
I think there are some of us that are still confused about why he ever thought he needed to put on weight, and it just it never made a lick of sense to me.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. The reasoning behind it made sense. It's you know what I mean? Like the durability component. I mean, he still got hurt. You know, so
I know that's true, but he doesn't get hurt downfield, and like limiting his elusiveness to me.
I actually agree with you. I think it's a philosophical thing. I think what you need to say is you didn't agree with that decision. What you want is what you got now. Like you didn't agree with that. Okay, good.
Yes, right. This is the guy. I want this guy. Right now, this is Lamar Jackson. This is what makes him one of one, as we always talk about, is this. There isn't another human. That was Vince Young in the Rose Bowl. Like that's I know that's hollowed. I understand.
Don't insult Lamar.
No, in the Rose Bowl. Vince Young in the Rose Bowl is one of the greatest performances. Wait a second. No.
I don't give a damn.
Vince Young in the Rose Bowl is one of the greatest things we've ever seen in the history of football.
Don't compare Division I football to the NFL, brother. Don't do that.
It's that unique. It's that. All right. Well, we're gonna end up. You and I are gonna do a podcast about this topic at one time because to me, Vince Young in the Rose Bowl is the height of football. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen in the history of the game of football. I know you play. I respect you.
No, it's all good. I'm going to be quiet. See, you guys are getting a newer, calmer Zen version of Femi.
We're getting week one Femi is what we're getting.
I was getting ready to say, Femi, this is the first game, dog.
We're getting not only is it the first game, but it's the next day after the first game at 12:35 at night.
That's true too.
I've been up since 5. I've been up since 5 in the morning too. By the way,
all of these things are factors. There's no question about it. Griffin, if you could, I've seen a few of the responses. Andrew just shared one in the chat from Cordell, but Lamar Jackson gave an explanation about what happened on the would have been touchdown to Zay Flowers. I'm reading this from Jeff Zrebeck's Twitter. He says he was trying to get it to Bateman. That was who that was actually originally intended for. But then at the last second, he saw Flowers open. And he also saw that it was Justice Hill who was blocking Chris Jones, so he decided he needed to hurry it in that moment. And go ahead.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
saw Justice Hill on Chris Jones, and I was like, "What is going on? How did Justice Hill?"
Like,
And
how,
but he
Sway?
did a good job
I'll
though.
tell you what,
He
yeah,
did a
he
good
held his
job.
own.
He
Hey,
did a
held
good
his
job.
own.
hey, Rita, the evolution of Justice Hill from where where he is now to like where he like he is that's a man.
Facts.
That's a
Facts.
man. He is a man. I love me some Justice Hill. And I
That's my
remember
guy.
but because it was the fumble stuff that irritated me. Remember, that was what it was, and he got that sorted out. But because if you can't protect the ball, you can't play in the NFL. Like, that's the number one rule, right? And although he was always a good special teamer. He was always good catching the ball at the back.
I don't know if you guys are seeing. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's nuts. It's just nuts to look at. Like, go get him, guy. Go get him, buddy.
Yeah.
And he did. He held his own.
He held it.
Well, Chris Jones was out there calling his spots out. Like, I got this guy. I'm going over here. Like, he was out there just like playing one-on-one basketball, which I thought was interesting, and the broadcast obviously noted it too.
Here's the thing with the Lamar conversation that you guys were just having a second ago too, with his running, his propensity to run more. When you get in a situation like they had tonight with Chris Jones kind of blowing it up for the most part. I mean, that offensive line was having a problem with him for the majority of the game. And especially when you looked at that last drive, Lamar was just dropping back and essentially going to whichever lane Chris Jones didn't go to. He was letting him, he was taking the opposite lane and then stepping up and chucking it down the field. And it was like, eventually you've just got to kind of improvise. And that's the ability that Lamar gives you when he's able to do that. And we saw, on that last drive, he hit Likely a few times out to the right. He was able to take off a few different times. And I think that as this season goes along, you're going to have to see, obviously, a lot of improvement out of an offensive line to be able to handle players like Chris Jones, because there's going to be more of that. I mean,
there's not many more. Chris Jones is pretty unicornish, but there's other really good rushers.
Myles Garrett is sending shivers down my spine right now.
Right.
Like, TJ Watt, like these types of players are sending shivers down my spine against, if we get a similar offensive line performance that we did tonight. I'm not like out on this. I think it can improve. I think that's what the Ravens do. They tend to have these units gel throughout a season and hopefully peak come January. But that obviously isn't good enough for what we saw tonight. And if you got Justice Hill in there late in the game, when he's your passing down back, and if you've got him having to help and chip, and obviously Mark Andrews was helping and chipping a lot, is part of the reason you didn't see him a lot in the passing game tonight. That'll create problems for an offense.
Can we just also spend a second though, the block, and I know they talked about it on the broadcast a lot, the block from Isaiah Likely, where like
it was incredible.
On Karlaftis,
dude,
he depleted him. It was great.
That was one of my favorite moments of the night. All right, make your trip to the game easy by saving the Easy Pass way for tolls. Go to driveeasymd.com. That's driveeasymd.com. The thing I want to come back to, because we kind of allude to, I feel like part of the reason why we're all in this place where nobody's all that down, nobody's all that, some of it is because it just really kind of comes up to bad luck at the end, right? Like, they were right there. It's bad luck. That happens in football. You live with it. But I also feel like part of it is because we know this wasn't going to be the determining game. We've all joked. The Ravens win by 3 touchdowns tonight. You feel cool about it, but we're all talking about now you need to go show that you can do it in the playoffs. So I'll pose it this way, and I want everybody to give an answer to it. And Reeta, I'll start with you. How comfortable are you that this Ravens team can get to that place where they can be capable of beating the Chiefs in the playoffs?
I'm not comfortable until I see it. That's the problem. I know that they have the potential to do it. I think that's a situation where it has to be executed, right? But I think that the Ravens can go toe to toe with the Chiefs. I still stand by the fact that I think that they should have beaten the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, and that if they just would have played their way of playing football, that would have happened. So I don't think that they're far off. The problem is that I can't put a number on it because for the amount of times that they played Kansas City, with Patrick Mahomes. They've only won one.
Is it 1-5 now? Is that the number?
1-5. 1 and
Yeah.
5.
1-5. Yeah, that's not,
The
that's
odds
not,
are in our favor. Then it's got
right.
Yeah,
At
reversion
some
to the
point,
mean.
it's got to
Yeah?
break. At some point, it's
Yeah.
got to break. Am I confident that they could do it? Yeah, because I'm watching them go toe to toe with them. Every time you felt like the Ravens were out of it, they weren't out of it. You know what I'm saying? They made some type of play that made them punt, or you had Roquan with the interception or whatever, and then Lamar, moving the ball at the end. So I know that they're close. But to answer your question, I'm not really comfortable yet. I gotta see it, Glenn. Unfortunately for me, I just gotta see it.
Femi, I'm gonna save you for last. I'll go to Ken next.
I sort of agree. Until you do it, you can't do it. Am I comfortable?
Would you have felt dramatically different about that if they had won the night?
No, because to me it's all about what are you going to do when you see them in the playoffs, and they should have beaten them in the playoffs. They played them really tough tonight in a team against the Kansas City team that's really 2 weeks ahead of them as far as playing together, because they played their starters during the preseason, and so they a little bit more together, cohesive units there, and for the Ravens to go toe to toe and come down to the last second, yeah, they can beat them, but am I comfortable once they get to the playoffs? I mean, look, last year was last year, 2019 was 2019. Until they get out from under that, it's still a problem to me. Can they do it? Sure. Will they do it? That's a completely different question.
Andrew Stecca.
I mean, I'm sure that Femi will agree with me that the football season is a long journey. They've got a lot to grow and clean up, and I don't think that anyone really knows what the Ravens will be come December or January. I don't think anyone really knows what the Chiefs will be come December or January. There is a little bit of truth to what both Reeta and KZ are saying. Is until you see it, you can't believe it. But yeah, they can beat this team, and anybody can beat anybody. It's the NFL. It's just a matter of execution at some point or another, and it's a matter of doing it when the time comes. And we know that the time is not September 5th. The time is going to be, in the playoffs. And I think coming into the season, I think that's why all of us on this call tonight have kind of been a little bit more level-headed than some might expect, and not like ready to throw things, because this result never really was going to matter all that much. I mean, it might matter in terms of home field advantage down the line, but you can't think about that in early September. You just have to think about growing and getting better. So yeah, they can beat this team. They almost did it tonight with a lot going against them. I don't think there's any doubt that they can do it.
Femi?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of confidence that they can beat them in the playoffs. I do. I think it's the difference. The thing they need to do is just play a clean game. They have not played a clean game against KC. They played a clean, I've seen Detroit come in here, clean game, just destroy them. We went to San Francisco, clean game, destroy San Francisco. I remember when Seattle was really good, when Lamar was younger. We go up to Seattle. Seattle was winning the NFC West at that time. We go in there, we whip that ass. Like, played a clean game. We just need to play a clean game against Kansas City. There needs to be a come to Jesus discussion about the psychological and emotional kind of hold that it seems that Kansas City represents. It's almost like a block. I don't really even know how to explain it. There's things that we do against them we don't do against anybody. And it's not in regard to catching passes. Well, actually, no, that's wrong too, because you have the Zay fumble. Yeah, anyway, let me just say it this way: it's got to be a clean game. If you play a clean game, you beat them. I think you win. And the thing is, when you really analyze it, there's so many things that you can point to. If you just can eliminate half of them, you win the game probably, right? Talking against a championship game, we're talking tonight. So I'm really confident that they could do it. Now, will they do it?
Yeah, right. We can't see the
Will they
future.
get a
No, of
chance?
course
Yeah, we
not.
don't know.
Right.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yep.
But maybe you guys are surprised by my answer, but I'm very confident that they could do it because I've seen their full body of work in the Lamar era. I've seen times when people are like, oh, the Niners are going to destroy them, or the Bengals are going to destroy them. The Browns have this new defense. They're going to go to Cleveland and get their ass kicked. And what happens? No, it doesn't happen. You know what I mean? So when I look at the full body of work and I think of how they normally play 90% of the time, I think at some point that game is going to show up against these guys. I believe that.
All right, boys, I'm looking forward to Reeta. This was her flu game, so shout out Reeta. Love you. She already ducked out because she's had a week. I've enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to another great season, hanging out with all of you guys. Who am I? Oh, we want to talk about Griffin wants me to talk about the Justin Tucker thing before we get out of here.
What did I say last
Oh.
year, Glenn? What did I say last year?
That's right. Andrew Stecca brought this up, and Femi, we did put it on watch, right? Last year, we
Put him
did.
on the
We
watch
said
list.
we said we were going to talk about it. He's now one of his last 6 from 50 plus. What do we say?
Wow, that's a good point.
I
mean, go ahead.
I guess my takeaway would be, even if this is a thing, and maybe it is a thing, it doesn't mean that Justin Tucker is a garbage kicker. It means it's possible he's not the impossibly greatest that ever did it level that he was at this point in his career. And I'm not even yet convinced that's definitively the case. But, we can't ignore it. I got to go back. These weren't all 52, 53-yard kicks. Like, some of these were more like 57, 58, 60, weren't they, in this 1-for-6 span? I'm going to have to dive deeper into this to feel something about it. I can't get worked up about it, but it is a thing. We can't hide from it either.
It's still on watch. It's still on watch.
Yeah.
You know what's funny, Glenn? I joked. I sent something out. I was like, he missed another one. Let's just close the door. It's all over. He missed another one. And people were like, yeah, it's like he's now 1 for 5. I'm like, it was a joke, folks. Relax. He's the greatest kicker in NFL history. I know he's 1 for 5 or 1 for 6 from his last, over 50, but come on now. I mean,
no, but here's the point. When he has let's call it even 55 and in, that used to feel
it did
absolutely
automatic. Yeah.
I no longer feel that way.
No, that's fair.
What year is this for him? 13?
Oh, I think
14.
Yeah, 12 was his rookie season, so this is 13th season.
Yeah.
I mean,
Father time and all that.
I mean,
I think he's good. I think
he's good. I'm just like,
no, I'm with you though.
This isn't like his 6th year and he's lost it all of a sudden. It's like he's been doing this for over a decade.
Yeah, he's not at the peak of his powers, which is fine.
I'm not going to lie to you. When I heard the kick was 53, was it 53 yards?
53. Yes.
I was like, this is not a guarantee. Like, that's the first in my head. I was thinking this is not a guarantee.
But Femi, that's kind of the point. The fact that was in your head means he's no longer at the peak
because
of his powers.
Because I'm with my brothers and we're just talking in my house and no one else is going to see this. I can just be real with you guys. I'm being honest. Like I didn't feel like it was a guarantee.
I also don't know for sure that it was a perfect snap and hold. Not saying
I don't.
Not saying it has to be every time.
Yeah,
but
I didn't get a chance to actually pay attention to all the mechanics because I was actually out doing an event for the Ravens. So the actual kick itself, I just remember how I felt when I heard they were going to kick it, and I remember, just to make your point, Andrew, just to be real with you, like I did not like the way I felt was like, oh damn, I'm not confident about this.
And for me, that's the point of the watch list. Like it doesn't mean he's washed. It just means
he's definitely not.
Nobody's suggesting that it's time for a new kicker.
Right.
Yeah,
it just means he's no longer a guarantee.
He may not be superhuman like he was. The fact that, like, if it was from 60, we're like, oh shit, all good, no problem.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Now he's, instead of being the all pro, he's going to the Hall of Fame, right? So like let's not forget that, right?
Yes.
But I just think we're so spoiled by what this man has done that we're just probably a little surprised that we're feeling trepidation about something that we knew was never a question, right? Maybe Andrew, that's what you're saying, right? That's what we were
you're spot on. You're spot on,
Yeah.
Femi.
All right, cool.
All right, guys. Project Game Day has been made possible by 1-800-GAMBLER. No-cost treatment is now available for anyone who wants help with their gambling problem. 1-800-GAMBLER and helpmygamblingproblem.org. Femi, love you, brother. We will be talking all throughout the course of the season. KZ, Andrew Stecca, love you guys. Griffin, great job. Griffin's, I think, going to be hanging out with us all season long as well. So looking forward to that.
Hey, Glenn.
Yeah, bud.
I love you too, brother.
Oh man, the vibes are so good for a game. The Raven. This has got to be the best the vibes have ever been.
Definitely.
I know we don't want to. We
It's
don't
all-
want to
don't-
break
don't-
down body language. We don't. But like the vibes after a loss have
You know
never
what I'm
been.
shocked at? You know what I'm shocked at right now, though?
It's KZ.
Big time. Oh
What?
my God.
I don't know who this guy
Well,
is.
who is this guy?
I don't
Who is,
know.
This
Yeah,
is
who is this person?
This is Femi. This is totally relaxed, retired
I
from
was gonna say,
writing
he
football
retired.
stuff.
He retired.
He
That's
took
why.
He took an edible right before he got on here for sure. And I love the Fred.
I have been
KZ.
in New York a lot, so I may have bumped into Josh. I don't know.
Okay. I love your Fresno State shirt. Just kidding. I know it's a French shirt, but for a second I was like, is that because of the way that the Friends,
I
like,
know.
because it's the same
Yeah.
colors? It kind of, I was like, he's rocking a Fresno State shirt. Holy moly!
All right, boys. We'll see you back next Sunday after the Raiders game. This has been PressBox's Project Game Day.